Ladies and gentlemen, boys and NBs, welcome back to the Warzone, and it's time to talk about the Battle Royale all the way from quads down to solos and what I believe to be the best 10 loadouts for Season 2 Reloaded, and these will probably be extremely good going into Season 3 as well. There's one gun in here that is extremely broken, and I don't think they meant for this to happen. It's going to give you some real flashbacks to the Interceptor during early Season 1, so hold on to your butts. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Alright, so first and foremost, you compare any of these guns with the others within reason. That said, this is how I like to run these guns. I have all 10 of these loadouts put together. I know where they are and I choose them situationally. First and foremost, let's talk about the SOA Subverter, the brand new gun. This thing is incredible. With this build, you have almost no recoil. I like the Choreo Enforcer optic, the one from the Black Cell bundle from the season, a couple seasons back. I think it was Season 4, that has the blue optic instead of red. Use the optic that you like. I just love this thing and I use it all of the time. With that, I use the Spirit Fire Suppressor to get roughly 7% recoil control while upping my damage range and bullet velocity. I had the SP10 angled grip because the Bruin Heavy just is not worth it, and I'll show you that here in a second. I use the high velocity ammunition to push up that velocity as high as I can, and that minuscule loss of damage range just isn't important. The high grain ammo would make this thing kick much harder, so the high velocity is the way we go. Finish off with a 50 round drum, and this thing will absolutely fry everyone out to about 140 meters. Now, as I said, with the Bruin Heavy, let's get that out of the way real quick. Here you'll see with the FFAC SP10 angled grip, we've got a 12% gain in horizontal recoil as well as a loss of 4% vertical recoil. No big deal there. This is stats we want to see. This grip is incredible. Now, when we move up to the Bruin Heavy, play close attention to what changes, okay? So remember, we gain 12%, we lose 4%. The Bruin Heavy, we gain 12% horizontal and lose 4% vertical. However, we also gain 10% gun kick, which is purely visual. It does have nothing to do with the shots that you are taking. It is all a visual cue. However, we're also losing 7% ADS, and this can cost us a gunfight. So the Bruin Heavy, in my opinion, is not worth using ever. Always use the SP10 over the Bruin Heavy, because the Bruin Heavy is just there to make you feel better about the way your gun looks. Do what makes you win, not what looks good. As far as the Subverter goes, I do like to pair the Subverter with the Striker. The Striker is a gun I'm seeing more and more of every day as time goes on, as this thing just fries, and it's weird that it's taken this long for people to figure out that a gun in 45 ACP, a submachine gun in ACP no less, absolutely fries. This build, again, we're going to use a Shatter Strike Suppressor. We're going to add the DR6 hand stop to get that maximum movement. I use the 48 round mag. However, you can go up to that drum if you would like. The tack grip, rear grip to get a little bit more of that control, and then the Lockman Nemesis 10 stock to get our movement up. This thing flies, it fries, it has no recoil, and you stay off the map. This will win against everything. And while we're here, let's talk perks. I have 2 perk packages that I use. I have my Sniper perk pack, which for some reason is on this kit, which is Mountaineer, Sleight of Hand, Quick Fix, and High Alert. I don't use Tempered because I try to find a tempered vest, but if I don't find it, I'm perfectly fine with putting 1 plate in, immediately having 150 HP plus that 150 armor plate. So I'm at 200 HP as I take that third party who has 300 HP. I have a high chance of winning that fight, and that's why I look at it this way. If I have tempered, I can go to that 1 plate and I can push up even higher, or I can full plate depending on the situation. I hope you understand my school of thought. EOD is just simply not worth the slot, nor is double time, because I can get around the map with no problem. As for lethals and tacticals, I prefer a Semtex and a flashbang. You can use stuns. I don't like them. I like to blind my opponents. And you can use throwing knives. I use throwing knives on occasion as well. You can use smoke grenades, whatever. I like to find smoke grenades in World again. But moving on to loadout number 2. Now, with loadout number 2, we're talking about the XRK Stalker. This is the maximum range one-shot kill XRK Stalker. For this, we're using the Mammoth 50 suppressor and the Fission 60 barrel with the high grain ammo to push our range out as far as possible and get around 1300 meters per second bullet velocity. The Razorhawk laser light and the Ural-M stock to get the maximum stability out of the gun, while also getting a bit of that aim down sight speed from that laser light. You can swap out the Ural-M or the laser light to throw on the Heinrichter, but I would run this if I'm running for max range a bit slower, like it's a Cat AMR, because you're still faster than the Cat, you're still able to get the job done. I do have another build for this gun I'll talk about in just a minute, but this is the maximum range build, which will put push out to 116 meters with the one-shot headshot. And then I'm pairing this build with a gun that I think everyone forgot exists, and that is the Hunter Carbine conversion for the Rival 9. This turns it into a burst gun, but it's a fully auto burst, which essentially is landing 3 bullets every 0.4 seconds directly on your target. Bop, 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 bop. It is absolutely wonderful to watch people die when 2 bursts hit. It's a great gun. For this, we're using the Shadow Strike suppressor once again, the SP10 angled grip, as we're using this in sniper support. We want to take out a little bit of that horizontal bounce from those bursts, the high grain rounds to push it up and out as far as we can, and then the 50 round drum to get the maximum ammo we can for this gun per magazine. With the 50 round drum, just remember that last shot you have is only 2 rounds, not 3, so it's not going to hit as hard. Otherwise, this thing is phenomenal. You need an optic, you can drop that SP10 and throw it on, and I don't see why you would need one, however, because the irons on this gun are absolutely wonderful. All right, so I told you I'd have a second build for the Stalker. This is my main build for the XRK Stalker, and it's using the XRK Stoic 4 suppressed barrel. This is going to give us a 98 meter range, so we're losing about 18 meters of range on that one-shot ability, but we're able to move so much faster. We're going to use the Razorhawk laser light once again with the Ural M stock to get that stability up, get a little bit of aim down speed. We're then going to add the high grain ammunition to get the maximum range and velocity we can out of this thing. Still sitting around 1250 meters per second bullet velocity. Then I finish it off with the factory grip to get my quick scopes in. However, you can swap that for the Heinrichter scope if you'd like. You can swap it for the light bolt so you can get a faster follow-up. It's all in your playstyle with that final attachment. I, however, like it this way, as the scope on this gun is not bad, and I don't really need to follow up much. I know I'm a badass, but that is here nor there. And then another great sniper support option is actually the MCW with the Jack Raven kit, turning this into a 300 black rifle. This thing is wonderful and no one's using it. I know that the MCW just got a buff. The 300 black didn't need a buff, but yet it still got one. For this build, we're going to throw the 40 round mag on it with low grain ammo in it. Being a subsonic rifle, that low grain ammo does almost nothing to the gun to start with other than give us huge recoil gains. We lose a slight bit of range, but again, sniper support. We're only using this thing to what, 50 meters at most. I'm going to throw the DR6 hand stop on it as if we're using it as an SMG. And then we're going to finish off the Shadow Strike suppressor. You can use the sonic suppressor if you want to get that damage range back. However, I like the sprint to fire because I don't have a submachine gun. And with this next loadout, it's like we're back on Verdansk. It's 2020. Everyone's stuck in their house. All of that sad news. The Bruin Mark 9 is once again back on the top of the pool. It's the Apex Predator. This thing will fry absolutely everyone to about 160 meters. And for this build, we're using the Spirit Fire suppressor, the SP10 angled grip once again with these two, bringing our recoil down. It doesn't have much to start with, but with this, you just have to pull straight down at a very slow rate and you will fry everyone, even at those long ranges. Spirit Fire is also upping our range and our velocity, along with the high grain ammo, which is upping our range, our velocity, and it's adding a small bit of recoil, which is counteracted. The 60 round mag to make this thing feel like an AR, and I am in love with the KR Mortis Precision. This is my favorite optic in the game. If you don't like it, you can use the Eagle Eye or any of the other optics in this area. This thing is amazing. If you're not running the Bruin in your loadouts, throw it in there today, because this is absolutely top tier meta right now. And like I said, we're back on Verdansk because the MP5 or lock and sub is back on top. It got a huge buff in the last patch. Change a couple of things for those of you who have been here for a while from my DMZ videos. We've only changed 2 attachments and this thing is absolutely fried. First and foremost, if 40 rounds isn't enough, swap it out to the 50. That's perfectly fine. Before this build, we're going to use the Shadow Strike suppressor. You want to up the range for a little bit of sprint. You can throw on that sonic suppressor. We're going to use the DR6 hand stop as always alongside the FT mobile stock to maximize our mobility, and the FT mobile stock actually gives 20% to your range on this gun. It is a bugged stat. It's been in here for a year now. I don't think it's ever going away. It's not listed in game, but I promise you it is there and you will feel it. We're going to finish this off with the 40 round mag and the Lockman TCG10 rear grip to add some recoil control. This thing still fries just like it did last year, if not better. All right, remember at the beginning of the video when I told you you're going to be having flashbacks to the beginning of season 1 with the MTZ Interceptor and how just dirty it was? Well, here it is. The MCW 6.8 is not only as good as the Interceptor was, it's actually better. And I'll explain why after I give you the build. For this build, we're going to use the Nil Sound 90 to get that absolute maximum bullet velocity. velocity. We're going to lose a little bit of range, but that doesn't matter. The Predator Precision Barrel is going to bring up, once again, velocity, range, and give a bit of stability while firing. I use the Heinrichter hybrid so I can pull in close or aim in if I need to hit precision shots. The 30-round mag full of Spire Point 6.8 Wrath to absolutely make this thing fly and fry when you're firing. This gun is hit scan with a 1.3 mile per second bullet velocity. I'm not exaggerating. 1.3 miles per second, or what is 2083.6 meters per second bullet velocity. This thing is incredible. Now, this is the maximum velocity build. With this, I'm going to show you how I've been running it lately, which what I have been doing myself is running this gun with our good old friend, the SP10 thrown on. And for that, what you're going to see is we are pulling 1,807.5 meter per second bullet velocity. And we have the ability, I'm just going to pull this one into the range for you real quick. You throw on the plates. Don't mind my awful aim. It absolutely destroys. Next up, I pair this with the Ram 9. The Ram 9 is, in my opinion, the best SMG in the game currently. It is incredible. It has a lot of range on it, but it can still take out the WSP swarms and the Lockman subs up close. For this build, we're going to use the Shadow Strike suppressor and the DR6 hand stop as always. We're then going to throw the Hunker 5 stock and the Recon comb on to maximize our stats to their max potential. We're then going to throw the 50-round magazine on it to make sure that we have enough to not only take down the fight we have, but any teammates or third party we may run into. If you do need an optic, I would drop the Recon comb and throw on your optic, but the irons are really good on this gun. Just take the time to learn them. They're very, very, very good. This gun can also be used to about 18 meters in tack stance. In keeping with DMRs, it's time to talk about another Modern Warfare 2 gun that absolutely slaps and has been at the top of the meta all year, all Modern Warfare 3 year, and that is the EBR, and nobody is using this gun. I'm going to throw you two curveballs here. Let's start with the AOK 4x RQ9 Recon optic. This thing has zero glint, so they don't even know you're looking at them thinking about reaching out and touching them. It gives off zero glint. This gun has almost no sway as well. We're going to use the sonic suppressor to get our maximum velocity and range. We're going to use the SP10 to take out any horizontal bounce we may have, as well as get our stability up. We're going to use the high grain rounds because it's semi-auto. That recoil doesn't matter. We want that range and that velocity. And we're going to throw the 20-round magazine on it as it's the largest one we have. Take pot shots. If you're playing duos, trios, or quads, work with a sniper. You will decimate entire teams as a two-man group. In solos, a sniper's not able to hit you because you're flinching them. You flinch, dead. It's over. This thing is incredible. Yes, the MCW 6.8 is better, but this thing is Old Faithful, and they're not going to nerf it. They're only going to buff it if they do anything. So keep this gun in mind if you like DMRs. I love a semi-automatic rifle, so this is the one for me. And then a gun that's gotten a few nerfs after nerfs after nerfs is now the best sniper support option in my opinion. That is the Baz B. And with this, we're going to use the integrally suppressed Crippling Malice light barrel to get some recoil control. We do lose a little bit of range, but this is a sniper support build. We're going to throw on the DR6 hand stop as if we're running a submachine gun. We're going to use the low grain rounds because again, this is a sniper support build. We're still going to have around 600 meters per second bullet velocity, which is incredible. The 45 round mag because sadly it's the largest we have. And then the ST88 rear grip to get some recoil control once again, so we can fry all the way out to that 40 to 50 meter range where we need to use this gun at its max. This combo will win game after game after game after game. I'm going to start running this pretty heavy on stream this week. Stop by, check it out, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see that. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, all that stuff. All right, now we're on a loadout 7 of 10, and this is going to be the gun that was at the top of the meta in solos and duos last season. That is the MTZ 762. This thing is still an absolute demon. I would have a problem using this in quads just because I'd be reloading all the time, but in solos and duos, this thing is incredible. For this build, once again, we're going to use the sonic suppressor, but then we're going to add the Clinch Pro barrel to bring up that absolute max of velocity and get some recoil control and stability out of it. We're then going to add on the high grain rounds because we just canceled out any recoil gained with the barrel. We're then going to push our range out even further and our velocity even higher, and throw on the 30 round mag as it's the largest we can get. And then I like the KR Intless LSJ3 optic because it's a 2-in-1, because it has that stability ADS laser built in, and we still get that 3 to 4 times zoom optic. This thing is wonderful. If you haven't used the Intless LSJ3, use it. It's freaking incredible. You don't know what you're missing out on. It has a bit of a weird reticle, but it is absolutely phenomenal. Just be reticent that you have a laser. And to speak on another gun that was at the top of the meta before the update, that is the WSP Swarm. This thing is still absolutely incredible, but I would build it a little different. I'm going to use the integrally suppressed barrel. We're going to lose a little bit of range, but that's no big deal because we're flying and frying. DR6 hand stop, as always, to get our movement speed and our aim down up. Throw in the Fortress heavy stock, as well as the Marauder grip to get some recoil and stability. This thing is wonderful. I use the 50 round mag because I don't need any more, even in quads. But if you need the 100, go ahead and throw it on. Just be mindful that you're going to be running a bit slower. The 50 round should be enough to get the job done if you're a good shot. However, this thing is absolutely still meta. It's not at the very top, but it is still very, very good. And then the MTZ 762 actually has a better build this season because yes, they did nerf it. However, if you throw on the Jack Heretic Carbine kit, this thing becomes a whole different beast. This thing is a monster. If you remember last year, we had the Cast-Off 762 and the Chimera. This falls halfway between the two of them. With this conversion kit, this thing is a subsonic rifle, but it's chambered in 762 Russian, and it is a demon. For this, we're going to use the Shadow Strike suppressor or the Sonic suppressor if you want a bit of range at the cost of sprint to fire. We're going to add the SP10 angled grip to make sure we only have horizontal recoil. We're going to throw in the low grain rounds once again to bring our recoil down, and this is a sniper support build, so we don't have to worry about velocity. We're going to use the 40 round mag, as once again it's the largest we have. This build right here is the absolute epitome of sniper support. And while I was talking about another sniper support build, so let's talk about the Cat AMR. This is my Cat AMR. I do not use the long barrel because I just don't need it. It makes the gun too slow, too heavy, takes too long to aim in. It's going to take me 5 minutes to aim at you. I'm going to end up dead. That's how I feel. So to counter that, we're going to use the Bruin counter ops to get the maximum velocity we can out of the gun. Damage range isn't a big deal. It's a one-shot kill at any range. We're going to use the high velocity ammo once again because we don't need to worry about range. We just need to get our velocity up to hit those one shots. We're going to throw on the ephemeral quick bolt so that we can get follow-up shots if needed. We're going to use the Razorhawk laser light to get our stability and a little bit of aim down. Then we're going to throw the Heinrichter hybrid scope on so we can pull in close if we need to, but we can still reach out and touch you if we have to. It's a really good gun. I'm not a fan of the Cat AMR at all. This thing's been really good to me. Try this build. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm telling you, dropping that barrel is going to be the best thing you could ever do. All right, another gun from the top of the meta last season that is still absolutely meta, and this one I believe is top tier meta. The only change I've made from last season to this season is I switched to the Sonic suppressor because that 3 milliseconds of sprint to fire is just not a big deal. You go from 81 to 84 milliseconds. It's not a big deal when you gain so much range and velocity. We're then going to add on the Thorn 90 short barrel, the DR6 hand stop to bring our movement speed up and just make this thing fly and fry. I'm going to use the folding stock for all of the recoil goodies we need, and then the 50 round drum because it's the largest magazine for this gun. This thing is incredible. I will say, if for some reason you need an optic on this gun, drop the barrel, put the Shadow Strike suppressor on it, and then add your optic. But the irons on this thing are absolutely amazing. I don't know why you would do that, just giving you the option. This is definitely top tier meta. And then I am pairing this with the Bass B, which is still a good option for the mid-range. I would not try to use this in extreme long engagements. And for this build, we're going to use the Spirit Fire suppressor for range, velocity, and recoil control. We're then going to add the Bruin Venom long barrel for the same reasons. We're going to use the SP10 angled grip. We're going to use the 45 round mag, and then I finish off with the Intless CAS 14. This is just like the LSJ3, but it doesn't have zoom. This is going to be a very clean optic and it has an ADS/aim stability laser built into it. So the only thing to keep in mind is you do have a green laser coming off of your rifle while using this build. This thing is incredible. I actually dropped a nuke with this gun, so give it a shot. And then for our very last loadout, I've got the F2000, I'm sorry, the BP50 or whatever they're calling it this year. This thing is absolutely phenomenal. It was a kind of weird one when it first dropped for me. I'm using the Spirit Fire suppressor once again for recoil control, range, velocity, all that jazz. I'm using the SP10 angled grip to once again bring that horizontal recoil under control. High velocity, as the small amount of range we lose just doesn't matter when we're pushing velocity to use this thing out to a very long range. Using the Schlager 3.4 because I love this optic and it just feels great on this gun. And then sadly, the 45 round mag because they did not give us a 60 because it would break the game. I wish this thing had a 60 round mag, but until then, 45 is going to have to be enough. Absolutely a top tier meta assault rifle, though it's not my first choice. I'm then pairing this with the AMR9, and this AMR9 build is not a sniper support build at all. This is a raw SMG build. This is for pushing buildings and absolutely shitting on kids. And for that, we're using the Nimbus 6 integrated suppressor, the 5.56 NATO low grain rounds to bring the recoil down between the two, push our bullet velocity, our range, all of that. Between the two, we are gaining 15% still. Use the 50 round mag. If you want the 100, you can use it. Again, you're going to get slow. The Sakin ZX grip to once again bring our recoil up. And then I use the D50 buffer tube like it's season 1 on an M4 on Verdansk. This is to make us fly and fry. With all the other attachments, you cannot even tell that you're on a buffer tube. This thing is incredible. And that is 20 guns. Well, it's like 17 guns, but it's 20 different builds across all of these guns. If you've enjoyed and you're still here, that means you like my content. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe, comment if I missed something you like, all that jazz. And that's going to be it for me. So until next time, leave me alone.